Good evening, everyone, and welcome again. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. And I hope everyone is doing well and excited for today's session. That is the hidden skills that separate average project managers from great project managers. So, uh, based on the topic, today's webinar is slightly different from the usual certification focus sessions because today's successful project managers are not defined only by tools, frameworks, certifications, or execution skills. So many professionals or many managers already know the process, but the real difference often comes from how you are communicating within team or among the other teams, how you influence the stakeholders, how you are handling the uncertainty, and how you are leading the people under the pressure. And that's exactly what today's session is all about, to separate the average project managers from the great project managers. So the goal of today's session is simple: to give you practical insights which will help you grow beyond day-to-day execution and become a stronger, more impactful project manager. So next, sir. Next slide, sir. So for those of you who are joining us for the first time, a quick introduction to Knowlathon. Knowlathon started in 2018 with a focus on practical and industry relevant learning solutions. So over the years, we have trained and certified more than 40,000 plus learners globally, with more than 100 training and certification offerings across project management, agile, ITSM, DevOps, cybersecurity, enterprise architecture, quality management, and leadership domains. So one thing we are especially proud of is that more than 80% of our business comes through repeat learners and organizations. So which reflects the trust professionals place in our learning experience. And our approach has always been simple: help professionals understand what is relevant for their growth before they invest their time, effort, and their in and learning journey. So to support that learning journey, next, sir. Knowledgeon works closely with globally accredited or recognized accreditation and certification bodies. As you can see on the screen, we have PeopleCert, PECD, PMI, Exin, CompTIA, TUV, the Open Group, VMEDU, and Linux Professional Institute. So these partnerships help us deliver globally recognized and accredited learning experiences to professionals across industries, and that leads us to next slide. Now, this is a bit of a proud moment, I will say. Before we move into the today's session, I also want to quickly share something that reflects Knowlathon's approach toward learning and industry transitions. So, over the years, Knowlathon has been consistently focused on launching and supporting important global certification transitions early. So starting from ITIL for Foundation in 2019 to managing professional transition specialist modules, Prince to updates or recent global launches, we have always been focused on helping professionals stay ahead of industry changes early with the right guidance and practitioner's perspective. So you can see on the screen how we have always delivered first, maybe globally first, or certifications or trainings. So now in May 2026 also, along with launching one of the first global ITL MPT version 5 sessions, we are also launching our new PMP exam preparation course or training with AI powered support features. So that is the upcoming PMP batch, which is scheduled from 30th May to 7th of June. It is designed on in a weekend format, especially for working professionals, and includes upcoming AI-supported exam prep resources to make learning more structured and practical. And it is going to be based on the PMBOK 8, which is the updated version of the PMBOK. So uh, all of this because today being a successful project manager is not only about clearing an exam. It's about continuously developing leadership, communication, strategic thinking, and decision making capabilities alongside the certification knowledge. And that connects perfectly with today's webinar topic as well. So let's move ahead. Now, to guide us through today's session, we have Mr. Bipin Karyakarte sir with us. He is a seasoned corporate trainer and delivery management specialist with more than 35 years of experience across IT, consulting, BFSI, manufacturing, education, and digital transformation domains. He is a PMP certified professional, as well as Prince 2 Foundation and Practitioner certified, a UGC NET qualified teaching expert, and has extensive experience managing large multicultural teams and strategic accounts globally. So his expertise spans across project and delivery management, leadership development, communication, process improvement, analytics, team building, and digital transformation practices. So, what makes today's session especially valuable is that his perspective does not just come from training or theory part. It comes from decades of real world leadership and delivery experience. So, that today's discussion or the webinar is going to be highly practical and highly relatable for you. So, without doing the further delay, I will hand over to Bipin sir. If you have any other attendees, if you have any questions, you can put it in the Q&A box. We will take it at the end of the session. Sir, over to you. Sir, you are on mute.
Okay, am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thanks, Shraddha, for a wonderful intro to the topic as well as to Knowlathon. Okay, and I hope I'll be able to share some of the insights which I have gained over a period of time, right?
Yes, sir.
As the screen says, I've been in the business of delivering uh, uh, transformations over the last 35 plus years, and during this complete journey, I have gained some little insight. I will not boast, I will not claim that I have a lot of this thing, but yes, I have gained some important insights. And we thought that, people who aspire to become better project managers, right? Uh, they would benefit from these kind of insights that we can share with them. So this is definitely something to do about getting into a proper certification track, plus getting the real world insights, which will add value, much more value rather, I would say, to the certification. Okay, so once again, thanks for this, and then we will just quickly move on, and we'll quickly set the tone for the today's discussion. Right? Why I'm calling it as a discussion, because I'm looking forward to having a lot of questions, etc., coming in at the end of it. Right? So, team, whoever is attending, please do mention your questions, etc., in the Q&A box, and at the end of it, I will just take it. Okay. Till then, what we will do is that, okay, the introduction part is already over. Okay, we'll talk about a few success enablers. Okay, how you become a project manager in the first place, right? How people become project managers, and what are the basic things that they need to have, right? So that they become project managers. The journey starts at some point in time. If you do your role rightly, if you do it with sincerity, if you do it with proper uh, focus, you start your journey towards, becoming a full-fledged project manager, etc. Right? Your career track changes. See, very few people join the profession directly as a project manager or a associate project manager, etc. Most of it, I would say, a killing majority of all of us have joined the whatever profession, whatever the domain, whatever be the domain, etc. But we have joined this domain as a kind of a maybe a developer, or kind of a accountant, or kind of something else, right? Over a period of time, you pick up the skills, and some of the skills are ingrained in your personality, and then you become a project manager, and the track changes. Your career track changes, right? So, what are the basic things that make you a project manager? And then the growth starts, but at some point in time, there is a plateau. The growth uh, uh, the growth part really doesn't remain a growth part, right? So you plateau somewhere. uh, if you don't break the plateau, you will continue to be a project manager. And that is why the title says the skills which are hidden, but they are the critical ones which separate the average PMs from great PMs. We are not saying to become a PM, right? You have already become a PM. You have already become a project manager. But then how do you break the plateau? How do you uh, charge yourself up again from that plateau and then climb the higher uh, mountains of your career? So those are the hidden skills which will take you to the next level. Okay. And at the end of it, we will definitely take some questions and answers. Okay. So, so, so this is a typical project manager, what you see on the screen, right? So there is a guy and a typical suited booted guy, okay, and juggling and managing multiple things. If you see, she manages, or he or she, whoever it is, manages the time, manages the money, manages the processes, manages the financial part of it, manages the ideas coming in from the team, etc. Like they work on putting things together. Like it's a jigsaw puzzle kind of a thing, right? They look at things in a very detailed manner, right? And at the same time, they have to keep the team happy. They have to keep team inspired, etc. Right? After all these things, end of the day, they have to look at their own basket and what are the documentation, what are the small things that they need to do, etc. They need to complete it, right? So the project manager typically looks at all of these aspects at any given point in time during a project. Okay, so how do you start your journey actually, right? So most PMs, when they actually become a project manager, before that they are probably getting involved into certain activities. But most of the PMs, they first learn the visible parts of the role, right? And what are those visible parts? Typically, even if today somebody says a project manager, right? What comes to your mind is somebody who is planning, somebody who is prioritizing, right? Tracking the execution, right? And the most important part is sending the updates, information to the stakeholders, right? So these are the typical things that uh, color a picture of a project manager, right? So are those skills necessary or not necessary, right? So we are talking about a typical project manager. So those skills definitely are necessary, right? Because end of the day, the project manager has to see the project through on a daily basis, on a day-to-day work basis, right? So these are the skills which definitely help a project manager to see the daily work getting done, right? And then uh, manage the project, keep it moving, etc. Right? So these skills are important. We are not belittling these skills at all at any point in time. Okay, but is it enough? Uh, is it enough to go ahead and what next now? Okay, you have become a project manager. You have become adept in all these skills over a period of time. Maybe your first project would give you much more trouble than your second project and then your third project, etc. So these skills do not fully explain why some of us, when I say us, I count myself as a part of this fraternity of project managers, right? So some of us become great, or some of us become highly trusted and influential, right? So what is it then? So in this session, we will talk about those aspects or those capabilities which are less visible. Visible in the sense they are visible, but less visible, because as I said, the moment we talk about a project manager, most of us will think about these are the broad activities that we need to execute. Okay, so this session we will focus on some of the capabilities which are less visible, okay, but they are critical for your long-term growth as a project manager, right? So basically the goal is what is that differentiating factor? What is that, that wow factor, right? When you are good and then you become wow for the customer, for your management, etc. So that wow factor, how does that wow factor comes in, right? So what is it that creates the distinction, right? So those are the things that we will look at in today's session. Okay. So a quick again, PM success today depends on more than tools, processes, and frameworks, right? So we have so many frameworks like PMP and this and that. Lot of frameworks are there, right? Some of the organizations I have partnered with, some of the organizations I have delivered for, they have their own frameworks also, right? I was working for a company which was partner to a world's third largest fintech company, right? And they had their own delivery framework, right? So there are frameworks. Okay, there are proprietary frameworks, there are publicly available frameworks, right? There are tools, processes, etc. Right? Those things are already there in the market, and your success as a project manager largely depends upon that, right? But templates can improve your consistency, but they cannot replace your judgment, right? End of the day, the template is just a kind of a dummy which needs to be used to become a meaningful piece of information or a meaningful piece of tool for your execution of your work, right? Uh, Great PMs are remembered for improving alignment, direction, and decision quality, right? You just don't stop at delivering and then, okay, now I have delivered, take it or leave it. No, a great PM goes beyond that, right? And we'll see how. So hidden skills are not just a value add. The key word here is a multiplier, right? Okay. So all your execution skills, your operational skills are your visible skills. But when your strategic part comes into focus, when you have that strategy uh, thinking cap on your head, then it becomes a multiplier, right? It doesn't remain 1 plus 1. It doesn't remain 2 plus 2. It becomes like 2 into 5 or 2 into 10, right? It goes multiplied, right? So these are the multipliers. Okay. So why the PM success today depends on more than tools, processes, and frameworks. That's what we started with in the previous slide. So we'll see a few things, right? So uh, the fundamental thing that needs to be understood is that I will use all the tools, I will use all the frameworks, etc. But frameworks help you to organize your thinking, right? Many times you would have realized that there is something in your mind, and when you put it in exact as many words, it becomes much more clearer. So definitely these frameworks help you to organize your thinking, but they are not going to make decisions on your behalf, right? uh, it is you as a project manager who has to make those decisions, right? After carefully considering all the parameters, right? Again, you have templates, right? You may have a template which is a communication template, or you have a project management plan template, etc. Right? It will just standardize your communication, right? But it cannot replace the clarity that needs to be brought in those communications, right? So templates, frameworks, etc. Right? You have processes will improve your consistency. What is a process? Basically, process will ensure that a particular thing is done in a particular way at any given point in time, right? So if you're doing something like you are conducting user acceptance testing, right? So the process will be defined, and at any given point in time, there will not be any deviation. If at all there is a deviation, it will be tracked and it will be caught, right? So processes will ensure that there is a consistency. Again, it's a very, very important part, right? But it does not automatically improve the product and product in the sense the outcome or the deliverable that is coming out of your project. It doesn't improve the sense of that product in terms of quality, etc. Right? So these are the so good PMs still need to interpret signals, choose trade-offs, and act in ambiguity. So these are the three important aspects, I would say, most important aspects, what a PM has to do using these frameworks, templates, processes, etc. It will generate some signals. It will give you some health of the project. It will give you some sense of it, right? As a PM, you interpret those signals. Then you have some trade-offs. right? You have to some give and take kind of a things. You have to choose certain direction. You have to let go of certain options. So which options you will let go of, which options you will choose, etc. And then act in ambiguity. So things will never be clear. Things will always be very, very ambiguous. And then you as a project manager have to take appropriate decision based on the context. So modern PM work involves uncertainty, competing priorities, and cross-functional tension, right? So yeah, uncertainty, we experience this uncertainty always around us, competing priorities and cross-functional tension, etc. Right? So more and more models of delivery are coming up, more and more cross-functional teams are coming up. So always there will be tension. So as the landscape changes, the PM's typical responsibilities also keep changing. So that is why judgment becomes more important than the process alone. Okay. So why execution alone is no longer enough, right? So now you are a good PM, you are executing excellently, but that is not important. That is not the complete story, right? So many PMs are already strong at planning, coordinating, and shipping. Shipping means delivering, actually shipping out the goods and deliverables, right? So many PMs are very good. That's why we are talking about good to great, right? We are talking about good to great, right? So PMs are already doing this. And one of the fundamental activities of a project manager is to make a plan, execute the plan, keep monitoring the plan, etc. Right? So execution is essential, but execution by itself often makes a PM operational and not strategic, right? So you become an operations man, right? You are no longer, because you get bogged down into so many operational issues, etc., and you are not going to be a strategic thinker, right? So there is a difference between operational person and a strategic person, right? Operational people are always thinking about what is happening on ground. Okay, they are the ones who are responding to the issues on hand, right? Whereas a strategic thinker is always looking at what is going to happen, right, in future, what are the trends, and how I can influence those future trends, right? How I can make sure that the future develops in a way which is favorable to me, right? That is what a strategic person or strategic thinker will always do. So you will often get bogged down only into the operational part, right? The PMs who create outsized impact usually ask better questions before work starts, right? So this is one important insight that I have gained. When somebody comes to you and starts dumping some project or some project related activity on you, as a PM, you have all the right in the world to ask why. Why should we do this? Okay, it's not a sin to ask why. Whereas asking why will give you a deeper insight. It will help you to plan the things in a better way. Okay. So they frame problems more clearly and make trade-offs more visible, right? So one of the abilities of a great PM is basically they are the ones who can identify the problems early on. They can frame the problems in as many words as it requires, and then they can come up with a better solutions. While coming up with a solution, they may not have a solution which is 100% fitting. Maybe it is 80% fitting, but what to let go of and what to not let go of. Okay, so that trade-off are done, and those trade-offs are visible, right? So those trade-offs are discussed with the team, discussed with the customer. They are, that kind of a stuff. So it is visible, right? So they help teams, these PMs basically helps teams to move faster by reducing confusion and misalignment. Yes, team is one of the most important tools at the disposal of the project manager. Without the team, no project manager can deliver, right? So that a good project manager will always make sure that the team is good, right? So hidden skills act as a multiplier on top of visible execution. So all this what we are seeing here is a visible execution part, and then we will now see some multipliers. So at some point in time, you have been growing, and then at a point you realize, no, I'm gone. I'm no longer growing. Probably I'm out of competition. I'm out of the race, or I have burned out. I have not been able to deliver the way I used to deliver, or I have been delivering the same thing again and again. I'm not doing something better, something different, etc. Right? So basically, growing, gone. And I bet if you talk to anybody in the community, if you talk to your peers, if you talk to your friends who might be in the same activity spectrum, I would say a majority of the people will say that at some point in time in their careers, they have faced this problem, right? So, what are the typical symptoms? So, hard work, years of experience, and certifications do not automatically create leadership growth. So, here now we are talking about leadership, right? So, you may do some certifications, you may have a lot of experience, you have done excellent hard work over the years, right? It doesn't automatically create potential in you as a leader, right? Uh, Many PMs, they are dependable, right? I have seen people about whom management would say, ah, let us give this to XYZ person and then we can close our eyes, we can rest assured that this will get done, right? So people become dependable, right? But uh, uh, they don't they don't bring some flavor of their own. Okay, so experience can become repetitive if the level of thinking does not deepen, right? You have done X, okay, fine. Iteration one, okay. You have done a project to implement, say, some kind of a software. You finished it, next. Okay, you finish it, next. Probably the same software you are implementing, same solution you are implementing over a period of time at various places, right? Does it deepen your understanding? I'm not talking about the understanding of the software, but the domain, the industry, etc. Right? So uh, if it doesn't happen, what you are doing is just get up in the morning, go to office, implement, come back, sleep. Right? That mundane, repetitive cycle. Right? So growth accelerates when judgment, trust, and scope rises together. So judgment, that means your judgment, the trust of people in you, okay, and your scope of your growth, all of this has to rise together, right? At some point in time, there is a phenomenal growth. You start, then there is a very quick success, phenomenal growth, and then you plateau out, right? You plateau out. So the PM ships work consistently and it's seen as a reliable and responsive. That's what we saw, right? So you are an excellent team player. You are an asset to the organization. Okay, but organization looks at you only as a reliable and responsive team member, right? But at the same time, you are not involved in the decision making process, right? So sometimes you may be, but consistently you are not breaking through that barrier of getting into the decision making discussions, right? So higher level product or business decision discussions, you are not invited there. Their contribution stays useful but their influence stays limited. Okay, so you are an excellent contributor, even not as a individual contributor, you are an excellent contributor as a team leader or a project manager, but your influence is limited, and this is a very familiar situation, trust me guys. Okay, they become operationally valuable but strategically under leveraged. That's what we saw, right? So what do great PMs do differently? Then what is it that they do which makes them a great PM, or it breaks that plateau, right? So average PMs keep work moving, great PMs improve the quality of decisions, right? So basically you are at the same time shipping the deliverables consistently, but you look at how the decisions can be improved, your own, as well as you can contribute towards better decisions for your management, etc. Great PMs connect features to outcomes and not just delivery plans, right? So I'm delivering to a plan, right? Based on a plan, right? But what is my end objective? Okay, I will deliver something. I will deliver an ERP system, for example. I will deliver some kind of a software. But using that software, what my customer is planning to achieve? right? Maybe business growth or streamlining of processes or better communication with the vendor community, etc. Right? So I'm at the same time I'm delivering the actual deliverables, I'm delivering the software, but I'm also looking at how my deliverables will contribute to the ultimate outcome, right? I'm aware of that. I keep an eye on that. They anticipate resistance, surface trade-offs, and simplify complexity. Anticipation of things that may come is one of the most important uh, uh, characteristics of a project manager, if I may say so. Their value is visible in clarity, conviction, and trust. Okay. So now, what are those hidden skills now, right? So let's take a quick look at it, and we'll see a few hidden skills and how do we imbibe them, right? So what do you mean by hidden skills, basically? Okay, what do you mean by that, first of all? Okay, so hidden skills are the less visible capabilities that strongly influence PM success. We have seen that already. They shape how a PM handles ambiguity, pressure, conflict, and alignment. They often show up in outcomes rather than in documents and deliverables. One important part here, as a project manager, you are maintaining a lot of documents, logs, plans, etc. Okay, and your deliverables also. So a deliverable may lead to an ultimate outcome, right? So your quality or your contribution is seen in the outcome and not just the deliverables. Okay. Uh, Examples include strategic thinking, influence, decision-oriented communication, and emotional intelligence. These are some of the examples which we will see in the next few slides. So these are some of the hidden skills. So those skills typically typically are not visible in your right day-to-day work, right? You are not creating something tangible or visible which will show to the world your influence over the processes, right? But your influence will be felt and not seen, right? So that is what a hidden skill really mean, right? So from requirements to outcomes, the first hidden skill that we are seeing is that from requirements to outcomes, right? So requirement management focuses on documenting needs, clarifying scope, and supporting execution, right? So requirement management is something where you will document whatever the users are throwing at you, right? Uh, if it is within the scope, you will take it up and then you will support the execution throughout, right? Whereas outcome ownership asks whether the work created a meaningful user or a business value, right? That's what I said. I'm implementing an ERP for a customer. The customer is asking me, I want this process, I want this process, I want a purchase order to be printed like this, I want so many people to authorize a purchase order, etc. Right? So those are all the requirements. But as a project manager, I am more concerned whether my ultimate objective of improving the vendor management, improving the product management, improving the streamlining of the processes within the organization, is it getting achieved, right? So I'm more worried about that rather than just doing a requirement management, right? So great PMs treat delivery as necessary but not sufficient. So delivering the requirements is necessary but not sufficient. They use shipping as a vehicle for results and not as the final goal. So shipping a deliverable is just a vehicle and not the end objective, right? It is a vehicle to achieve the end objective of the outcome. So basically a requirement delivers, gives some value to the organization to achieve a final outcome, right? So as a project manager, if I want to become a better project manager or a great project manager, the first thing that I should look at is how do I focus on the ultimate objective and not just the requirement part of it, right? Strategic thinking, right? So strategic thinking is another piece which needs to be closely monitored. So prioritization is not just ranking a list, right? I have 100 requirements, right? I'm just going to prioritize them based on, first of all, good to have, must to have, could have, should have, something like that. You can give any name, basically. I can do a prioritization based on many different jargons, right? But uh, what really matters most in a given context. And for that, you need to understand the context first. Then you have to put things in the proper perspective in that context. And then only you will come up with a proper prioritization. Okay. Strong PMs consider impact, urgency, risk, and opportunity cost together, right? So you should be aware of all this. What is the impact of any particular action that you are taking, if it is urgent, and what are the risks and what are the opportunity cost together. I hope many of you would know what is an opportunity cost, right? Opportunity cost is basically by not availing a particular opportunity, what I'm supposed to lose. Okay. So great PMs make trade-offs explicit instead of leaving them hidden. So this is one important part, right? We will see a few things on the same theme in the next slides, but whenever there is a trade-off, okay, whenever there is a give and take, I need to let go of something in order to achieve something. Based on my context, based on my judgment, I am trying to see what is more important for me. Okay. But whenever I'm making a trade-off, don't let it be a hidden trade-off, or don't let it be a silent kind of a development. Be vocal about it, talk to people, explain to them, make them understand, and get a buy-in from people who are stakeholders, right? So that is what a, a trade-off, making a trade-off explicit means, right? So make sure that everybody understands the trade-off, what is being traded off, why it is being traded off, what are the objectives that we are trading it off for, what would be the impact of this, consequences of that. Get everything explicitly on the table. So strategic thinking can be developed through repeated exposure to decisions, assumptions, and outcomes. Uh, as you grow as a PM, definitely there will be occasions where you will attend senior management meetings. You will be definitely, and as a PM, you will be leading the steering committee meetings, etc. So in those areas, you need to ensure that you soak that entire experience into your psyche and you improve yourself as a strategic thinker. Why stakeholder alignment is hard, right? So stakeholder alignment basically, what is the stakeholder? A stakeholder is, there is a classic definition of a stakeholder, right? A stakeholder is somebody who gets influenced or impacted by the project, who has a capability to impact the project, and who third thing is that who thinks that there is an impact on them, right? So this is a stakeholder. So PMs work across functions with different incentives, pressures, and success metrics, right? So different people have different incentives by doing the project, right? Poor alignment slows decisions, creates rework, and dilutes product strategy. So most important is make sure that all the stakeholders are aligned, and you have to do it actively. Why we are talking it in today's session? Because to become a great PM, your contribution to make sure that all the stakeholders are aligned towards a common objective, have a common understanding of the execution process of the project, etc. And they're having a buy-in of that, right? Meetings increase when clarity decreases. The moment you start increasing your meeting, there have been days in my own career that I used to spend one meeting after another, one meeting after another, and there is no time left for me to do my daily job, right? So whenever that happens, it is a sure shot indication that people need clarity. That is why they are asking for meetings, right? So you need to ensure that the information dissemination is properly done, right? Alignment is difficult not because people are difficult, but because perspectives are legitimately different. Sometimes we make this mistake. We feel like, "अरे यार ये बंदा बहुत difficult है. This guy is giving me trouble. That lady, she just keeps shouting, and that HR girl is just getting on my nerves, etc." No, it's not like that most of the time. Some of the times people will be difficult, right? But most of the time these perspectives are different, and they are legitimately different because people come from different cultures, people come from different mindsets, people have different realities, people have different problems on their desk on a daily basis, and they're seeking solutions, and they're desperately seeking solutions. And that is why most of the times your differences in your perspective comes up, and then people respond differently than what you expected. The moment somebody responds differently than what you expected them to respond, and then you call them difficult. So it's not like that. Don't take it that way. Influencing without authority, right? I am the owner of the organization. I am the MD of the organization. Obviously, I will have an influence of on my people, on my team, right? Because I can control their career, I can control their money, I can control their, whatever, their work experience within this organization, right? I can control. So that authority or that influence comes from the authority. But even without authority, I should be able to influence people's behavior. PMs are expected to lead outcomes without directly managing most of the people involved, right? This happens. You have a large team. Probably you are working on a project which has 100 people. So you are not controlling everybody directly. There is a structure, there are layers, right? And people under you have people under them, right? So influence comes from clarity, reasoning, relationships, and timing. These are very, very important parts. Okay. One of the valuable lessons I have always considered in my career is that, how to work with people with different cultures and different expectations, etc. So you need to build your relationships with them by employing empathy, by employing clarity in your thoughts, expressing that clarity, reasoning with them in earnest, explaining things to them, etc. Right? Timing is definitely important for this, right? Great PMs frame requests around impact rather than personal preference, right? So there are no personalities involved. People have to look at what exactly is the impact of a particular action rather than, looking at the people who are involved, right? So influence is not force, it is helping others see the best path more clearly, right? I'm helping people to understand uh, my viewpoint and convincing them why my viewpoint is better than their viewpoint, getting their buy-in and getting them to work accordingly. And that is what is a influencing somebody. And without influence, which is without authority, with authority anybody can influence, okay, that's not a big deal. But without authority, you need to influence people so that you become a good leader. Communication that creates alignment. Many PMs confuse sharing information with driving decisions. I've shared the information. No, that is not enough. You need to go beyond and you need to drive some decisions, right? Strong communication reduces uncertainty and helps people choose, align, and commit, right? So these are uh, one of the biggest hallmark of a good communication is that it will reduce the confusion, it will give clarity, right? It will help people or it will push people towards a decision by giving them a chance to choose, align, or commit, right? Decision oriented communication states the problem, presents options, and recommends a path. This is a very, very important feature. I can tell you one anecdote. About 25, 30 years back, I was a pretty junior guy and I had some problem on my plate. I wrote an email to my boss saying that, hey, so and so, this is what the customer is shouting and this is what is happening, etc., etc., etc. So I sent this email in the evening. Next day, the first thing in the morning, my boss responded to me saying that, okay, so, and a question mark, right? So I was completely surprised to see that particular response and I did not understand. So he called me to his place and then I was sitting and then he said, don't come to me with a problem. Come to me with a problem and what is your take on it? What is the solution that you want to take up? Maybe you have multiple thought processes. Share it. ऐसा नहीं है कि it's my problem. It's your problem. You think about it. I need to authorize a solution. Tell me what is the solution. If I find one of your solutions is really good, I will authorize it. Otherwise, we'll collectively work with it. So decision-oriented communication states the problem, presents what are the different options that can be done, and recommends a path. Okay, and that recommendation can be accepted, may not be accepted. That's another matter. This is where PM communication becomes a leadership tool rather than just an update mechanism. Very important insight, very important insight. Always keep this in mind that you are not just a information radiator. You are not just somebody who passes on the information. You add something of your own into it. You create some kind of a path to solve the problem and you are not just an update mechanism. Communication pitfalls. This is very important part again. Somebody says this is 6, somebody says this is 9, right? We are looking at the same thing, but I am interpreting in a different way because my perspective is different and somebody else is looking at it in a different way and interpreting in a different way because her or his perspective is different, right? Over explaining vague messaging and delayed escalation reduces PM impact. Sometimes too much of something is bad, right? So over explanation, okay, or you're vague in your messaging, right? Or you have delayed your escalation. That is where the timing part comes in, right? It will reduce your impact as a PM. Teams have teams leave meetings informed but not aligned with the decision frame is missing, right? So they are informed but they are not part of the decision. They are not aligned to the decision, right? So that is very uh, negative thing to happen to a team. Important decisions get delayed when trade-offs are not made visible, right? So when there is a trade-off, as we saw in the first few slides, a trade-off has to be made visible because then it will generate some healthy discussion, and then that healthy discussion will lead to some kind of a proper decision. Okay. PM effectiveness drops when clarity is replaced by noise, right? Obviously, this is self-sufficient to understand that, self-explanatory for you to understand that the moment there is a noise, obviously, as a PM, you will have to cut the noise and bring the clarity back. But again, your effectiveness will be judged based on this. Building trust and credibility, again, one of the very, very important. Without a team, without people around you, without an ecosystem, you, if you are in a silo, you will never make it as a great PM, never. Okay, so credibility grows through consistent decision quality and follow through. Okay, trust strengthens when PMs communicate clearly, especially in uncertain situations. Okay, transparency about trade-offs reduces surprises and defensiveness. The moment you have transparency, people are not surprised. One of the things I used to do is that if I have to send some kind of escalation to a customer or to somebody else, etc., more often than not, I used to call the people, talk to them over the call, give them some kind of understanding first, and then shoot the message. Right? Because if I send an escalation mail and suddenly 9:30 in the morning when somebody is just starting the day and that mail bombs on his or her face, then that entire conversation becomes a negative tinged conversation, right? Instead of that, if I give some kind of a breather, some kind of a backgrounder, one to one, and then the mail comes, that person is ready to receive that shock, right? So transparency about trade-offs reduces surprises and defensiveness. Stakeholders trust PMs who are fair, thoughtful, and predictable under pressure. Okay, so stakeholders, and who are the stakeholders? Your customer, your team, your management, everybody is a stakeholder, and they become very, very positive about you. When they think about you, they have good positive vibes. Handling difficult conversations, right? And all of us have handled difficult conversations in our careers 100%, especially the most important part of your annual work life is your appraisals, right? And appraisals are very, very difficult conversations many times, right? As a PM, apply those experiences, handle the difficult conversations. Disagreement is normal because product decisions affect priorities, resources, and commitments. Okay, somebody is coming from a different perspective and disagrees with you. Take it as a normal, right? Disagreements are not negative scenarios, right? In fact, disagreements will generate better decisions. Okay, if everybody, there is a saying, no, if everybody agrees in the meeting, then there is no need for a meeting, right? So disagreements are healthy. Great PMs prepare the person from the issue, separate the person from the issue, and re-anchor discussion in goals and trade-offs. So don't keep it about a person, keep it about the objective, keep it about the goals, etc. Right? The goal is not to win every argument but to reach a better decision. It's not that I have to win every time, right? Sometimes I may have to let go of something of my own, accept somebody else's viewpoint because it could be genuinely a better viewpoint, or in that given context it makes sense for me to take a back seat, let the other person drive. Not necessary that I have to win every time, right? Mature PM leadership preserves trust while still holding the line where needed. So this is very important, that I'm preserving my trust in people. I'm letting them do the things, right? But at the same time, at some level, I'm trying to keep the line in my hand so that, if there is a need, I can control the tone or the direction of the conversation. Emotional intelligence and presence. So PM work regularly involves ambiguity, moving priorities, and cross-functional tension. Emotional intelligence helps PMs read the room, manage themselves, and respond with empathy. Right? Reading the room means you are sitting in a room with 10 people having a meeting. So what is the mood of the meeting? What is the mood of the people? How the conversation is going into which direction, etc. Right? So you quickly read, you manage that whole show, and then you respond with empathy. Leadership presence is not charisma. It is composure, clarity, empathy, and conviction, right? So basically what you are doing is that not just carrying the day based on your charisma, right? You're a very charismatic person, you're a dynamic person, you talk nicely, you are presenting yourself in a very forceful way, etc., right? It is not only that. Okay, sometimes you have to be very calm and composed, sometimes you have to show the clarity in your thoughts, sometimes you have to show the empathy with the team, with your customer, etc. End of it, you have to stand up, show your conviction in what you are doing, what you are going to do, how you are going to do, etc. Most of the time people will be won over because of your conviction. Okay, even if they don't agree with you 100%, but if you are so convinced and you show that conviction to the other people, it will rub off positively on people, right? And they will allow you to do your own thing. Hidden skills matter most when certainty is lowest and pressure is the highest, right? So when certainty reduces, that means the risk factor increases. People are unsettled, people are not very comfortable, and the pressure is very high. At that point in time, all these hidden skills will matter most. So because the situation is critical and you show all your hidden skills, they will be noticed and you will be remembered for that. And then you will become a good to great, right? So a quick summary: strategic thinking, judgment under ambiguity, influence without authority, trust and credibility building, communication that drives alignment, stakeholder empathy, emotional intelligence, leadership presence. Show your presence as a leader, basically, right? Deliberate self development, and now is the time for you to action it out, right? And how do you action it out? So, many times you are aware of the things, not that you don't know, just that it doesn't come into your actions, right? So why awareness is not enough? Because many PMs understand this concept. See, whatever we have seen in the last 50 minutes or so is not something which is totally irrelevant, totally, or never occurred to any of you, and suddenly one fine day I am the only one who has thought about all these things. No, many of you would know these things by instinct, by your gut, right? So many PMs understand these concepts in theory but struggle to apply them consistently. And then, the key word here is not apply. The key word here is consistently. This is the key word, right? So under pressure, people often fall back on old habits. So when you are under pressure, you want to be in the familiar territory. You want to be on the familiar grounds. You are experimenting with new way of working, and then there is a pressure, there is a tension, there is a stress. You want to go back to your cocoon, you want to go back to your comfort zone, which is your known ways of working, and you will fall back on that, right? And that is where the consistency will go off. Okay, hidden skills are harder to self correct because they show up in behavior and perception, and capability grows only through repetition, reflection, and feedback. So what do? You are aware of it, put it in your action, see what are the results that are coming up, make improvements, and then keep this cycle going on, right? So there is something called the intentional development, right? So hidden skills improve through practice and not passive awareness alone. I am aware of it, but I'm not practicing it. There is no use of it. PMs need frameworks, realistic application, and feedback on influence, communication, and judgment. Okay. And a practical model is learn, observe, apply, see the results, reflect upon it, think about it, analyze it, interpret the results, see where it is lacking, what needs to be done next, etc., and then repeat this whole cycle. Right? This is how awareness becomes reliable capability over time. So I am aware of something. I know how to do a good communication, right? But I'm not doing it for some reason, whatever be the reason. So how to translate my thoughts about a proper communication or a proper team handling, etc., into action. I will start walking the talk, and then I will make some mistakes. I will improve it. I will keep doing this whole cycle again and again. So these are the hidden skills which will take you from average to good, good to great. Okay. Continuing the learning journey, structured development helps PMs build these skills more deliberately and consistently. So yes, you will start applying them, but if there is a structured program for you where you will learn these skills, you will learn the nuances of these skills, you will learn some industry standard good practices. Okay, it will definitely a better way of imbibing those skills. So the program that we are talking about is especially useful for PMs who are strong in execution but want greater strategic impact. So they are good in execution. That means they are doing the operations part very nicely, right? But now they want to get into the strategic thought process, right? Participants can expect stronger decision framing, stakeholder influence, and leadership presence. The next step is to identify one hidden skill that is currently limiting growth and start building it intentionally. So you do your self analysis, identify something which can improve and which will break that ceiling and take you to the next level. Okay. So now Knowlathon as a reputed and a leading provider of various knowledge areas, various certifications, we at Knowlathon are committed to increase the project management fraternity, the uh, proper way of working, so to say. Okay, so Knowlathon is a premier authorized training partner for PMI. We have been authorized training partner of PMI for quite long now. This PMP certification course is basically a 4 days virtual instructor led course. There will be lectures, full day lectures, full day sessions. Okay, delivered by an PMI accredited PMP instructor. We are all PMI accredited instructors here in Knowlathon. It will also come with a exam voucher, okay, which will also entitle you to access the PMI official materials kit, etc. Uh, Knowlathon also supports filling up the application, because filling up the PMP application is bit of a task. They are very clear about certain things. They ask a lot of information and access to Knowlathon LMS. In addition to the PMI's official materials, Knowlathon also has its own LMS where a lot of study material and exam prep questions, etc., are put up, and you get access to all of that, right? What are the exam prerequisites? There are three streams of getting the uh, uh, prerequisites or getting the or being considered to be fit to give the exam. Set A is basically if you have a high school or a secondary school diploma, which means you are not having a graduation kind of a thing. Then you need to have at least 5 years of experience leading or managing projects in the last 8 years. So out of your career, let's say you have 10 years of experience behind you, you should have at least 5 years of experience in actual project management. Okay, and then 35 hours of this course, that instructor led course that we saw, that course. Okay, or you have to have a CAPM certification, or something similar. If you have a bachelor's degree, okay, then you need to have 3 years, that is 36 months of experience actually doing the on ground activities, then the 35 hours of project management, etc. Okay, or you can have the third is bachelor's degree or higher degree from a GSC accredited program, 2 years of experience and 35 hours of this thing. So all this information is available on the website. I'll show you the URLs also. The exam structure is very simple actually, but yet very challenging. There are 180 total questions. You have 240 minutes to complete the exam. Out of this 240, there are 10 questions which are called pre-test questions. They are unscored questions. Okay. So in order to actually speaking, there are 230 questions which matter, but you have to solve all 240, right? Uh, there are no penalty for wrong answers. There is no negative marking, etc. There are 2 10-minute breaks optional you can take. Okay. And once you submit a section, because there are multiple sections, once you submit a section, you can't go back. So these are some basic getting familiar with the exam structure. Okay. These are the URLs on which you can go and you can find out more about this course. We have on our Knowlathon website as well as PMI's own website the complete information about this PMP certification. Okay, so this is where I stop and I hand it back to Shraddha. And it was nice talking to all of you. And once Shraddha is through, maybe we can take a few questions if there are any, and then we can call it a day.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. It was really insightful session. Uh, I think everyone must have a biggest takeaway from today's webinar is that the project managers are not just defined by the certifications, tools, or exhibition capabilities, but they are truly separated by how they are thinking strategically, communication, they are communicating clearly, or influencing the people either in teams or stakeholders, managing uncertainty and leading confidently under the pressure. So these are the skills that professionals often realize much later in their careers. So now, before we move into Q&A segment, as Sir has mentioned that the links, I'm sharing the link again as well as our contact details. So if anyone is interested to, in the Q&A box, I'm putting all the links and contact details. So if anyone is interested to enroll for the PMP certification, then you can check the details here, or you can reach out to us, and our advisors will connect with you and give you all the information you need, and will clear the doubts also. So now, again, the contact details are also on the screen. You can keep this screenshot with you. I have shared in the Q&A box. You can copy paste it with yourself. So now moving to Q&A, I encourage you all to ask as many questions as possible and get them answered from the expert only. So anyone, any questions? If you want to speak out, I can unmute you. Just raise your hand. Anyone, any questions? Or you can put it in the Q&A box. Anything that is comfortable for you.
So I think Shraddha, I have been so good that there are no doubts in people's mind, or
Yes.
I have been so bad that they have not understood anything. That's why they don't have any doubt or anything to ask.
I think
Either of these two.
the first case is right because I also understood a lot of things. Even despite I'm not in that field, I got idea about the project management, how it should be. So maybe it will help in my future career.
Thank you, Shraddha, for
Okay,
that.
we will wait for 2 3 minutes more for them to ask the questions.
Sure.
Yeah, till then, others who don't have questions, they can give the reactions if they enjoyed the session or not. Okay, I think it's 10 p.m., so everyone is feeling sleepy, I think.
Yes.
Okay, so can you share the next slide? Okay, we got the reactions. Sir, next slide.
I think that's it. We are
Yeah,
now
feedback. Yeah.
asking. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So whoever has the questions, you still have 2 3 minutes more to ask your questions. By then, others can scan this QR code and give the feedback for this webinar, and it will really help us to improve and give more and more details, or arrange new and trending webinars on the trending topics. So please do give the feedback on this link or on this QR code by the time others are asking questions. Anyone, I can unmute you, and you can ask the question if you are not comfortable putting it on in the Q&A box. Okay, they don't have questions, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, So thank you, everyone, once again for joining us today on the weekday. We genuinely appreciate your time and participation, and we hope today's session gave you practical insights into the skills that truly help project managers grow from average execution to impactful leadership. And have a wonderful evening ahead. Thank you so much, sir, for the guidance. And
My pleasure.
let's, yes, sir. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for attending this. And if there are any things that I may even help you going further also, do get in touch with Knowlathon and to me directly through Knowlathon. So we'll be able to help you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, definitely. Yes. Thank you, everyone.